Hey guys, welcome back. So today is gonna be a tutorial. So I know I don't do a lot of tutorials on this channel. It's because I'm kind of lazy. And the whole aspect of doing my makeup on camera can get a little tricky, like camera angles, holding the mirror, showing product, making sure that the lighting's right. I feel like I'm never satisfied with it, but at the end of the day, I think I would still rather share the techniques with you guys, even if it's with slightly poor lighting, you know, than not share it with you guys at all. So today is gonna be a glowy skin look, and a lot of the products I use are from Chanel because Chanel is really good at creating makeup that is just suitable for everyday looks. To me, I would say it's just more realistic makeup. The trendy makeup nowadays tends to emphasize more on a very sculpted, very intense, very contoured look. High bronze, very obvious highlight, and everything just looks very structured. And it's beautiful, but I feel like it's not very realistic for a lot of people, and there are a lot of techniques involved, so it can get a little complicated, and I can see why makeup nowadays can be a little intimidating, as if it wasn't intimidating before. I wanted to show you guys this technique to achieving a very glowy complexion for makeup. It's super easy, super simple. Anybody can use this technique. Like I said, I'm using specifically Chanel products because Chanel products for complexion tend to be the most natural. Even when it comes to highlighter, I'm gonna use a certain step later that is not necessarily achievable with other highlights on the market. So you guys are gonna see, but this is the look that I did today. Super glowy, super healthy, super natural, and super easy and achievable for anybody. Any skin tone, any skin type, oily, dry, whatever the case may be. The technique is super easy and super straightforward. So if you're interested in learning how I achieve my glowy skin every time, stay tuned. Let's get started. If you guys hear any ambient noise like dialogue, it's literally just my family talking. So, I mean, it should be fine, right? So today's emphasis is glowing makeup. So I'm really gonna focus more on complexion and skin and how to achieve that glowing look, because every time you guys request like a makeup tutorial, it's always like, oh, like how did you achieve like such glowy skin? And this is gonna be for all skin types. So whether you're dry, normal, oily, it's gonna work for you. I personally have oily skin. And so, but despite my oily skin, I still like to glow. So this technique would be good for anybody. I've literally been shaking this bottle the entire time I've been talking. I think this is like nicely well shaken up. So I'm gonna go with the Perfection Lumiere Velvet. Any foundation will do. I personally use this one because it has more of a mattifying finish and it's really light in texture, especially since I'm going to be mixing a luminizer with the foundation. I'm gonna be adding more liquid into the foundation, so having a more watery or a thinner foundation tends to work for me. Something thicker and creamier just makes it a little too thick and too wet on the face, and personally I like to work with thinner layers, especially if I'm gonna be making cocktails to achieve this look. The thinner the layers tend to be better. The shade that I'm using is 20 Beige, that much, like a pearl sized. Usually people say pea sized, Chanel says pearl sized. So a pearl sized amount, and I like to start with a small amount because I can always add, as opposed to using too much of it and then finding a way to, you know, subtract. It's always a little more difficult. And I'm doing about 1.5 pumps of this guy. That usually is enough. The point of foundation isn't to cover your skin and to resurface. The point is to even out your complexion. Perfecting comes later with concealer and stuff like that, so you can spot correct. But in terms of foundation, I just like to use it to create a nice even canvas. That's why I don't like a high coverage foundation anymore, because it looks a little too artificial and it just looks, I don't know, like it looks too thick. I don't know, it just creates too noticeable of a layer on my face, and I don't mean, that's not what I'm looking for. I want it to look like I have great skin, not great makeup. Nowadays I definitely focus on having great skincare as opposed to great makeup. Having great skincare is a fundamental to having a great makeup look. Okay, so foundation has been applied, but some of my little blemishes and areas of hyperpigmentation is still present. So, and that's fine. That's where I'm gonna go in and just kind of spot conceal and spot correct these items. But overall, I just like my complexion has just been evened out. Now I'm gonna go in with my favorite concealer, which is the Clay to Pot concealer. I'm using the shades Almond and Ivory. I mix those two shades to get my perfect shade. Usually I use the Chanel concealer. That one is also one of my favorite concealers. It's a close runner-up, but I've been really focusing on trying to use up all of my cosmetic items so that I don't just have a bunch of half-empty items kind of floating around in my collection and then they end up going bad. So I really want to focus on using up everything that's open before I open up more stuff. So it's actually about 90 something degrees today in California and I hate it. I actually prefer cold weather to warm weather, so now that summer is quickly approaching, I'm actually very, very bitter about it. Okay, complexion is all evened out and I look like I have no dimension to my face. So we're on the right track. The thing about makeup is that while it's in progress, the steps actually look a little terrifying. Okay, so any translucent powder will do. I just happen to be using the Hourglass one because I finished my Chanel one. But any translucent powder will do. I like the Hourglass one because it gives me more of a glowy finish than the Chanel one does. But any translucent powder will do. I just happen to like this one because it's a little glowier. So I'm gonna use the bottom of my beauty blender to pick up the product and then I'm gonna blot a good amount of it in my palm. I'm gonna start by setting my under eye pretty heavily. So I like to focus around my T-zone, particularly my nose, because especially nowadays we're wearing masks, things can rub off more easily, but I do tend to just have a little more oil around my nose. Oil tends to just gather in this area and this area for me, so I like to go in and just heavily set it. But then with the remaining translucent powder that's on my beauty blender, I'll just set the remainder of my cheeks. Now I'm gonna go in with the Le Beige Luminous powder. As you guys can see, I'm running very, very low, but I refuse to crack open a new one until I can no longer use this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and really load up my brush. This one is a setting powder, but it does have quite a bit of glow to it. So it's not shiny, but it will help me, one, just kind of like knock off any of the excess powder that I have on my face, as you guys can probably still see, but it's gonna add like a very nice glow to what I already have. This almost brings back more of a realistic quality to the makeup look. It makes your skin look a little more like skin. And I don't know if it's picking up on camera, but in person, the glowing illuminizer is still showing through on the skin, especially every time I smile. Like, you want it subtle, like you don't want it to be beaming, especially for the oily girls. Throughout the day when your oils start to surface in your skin, it's gonna give you a very nice dewy finish. But even if you're dry, you do want it more on the subtle side, just because if you do go a little heavy-handed with the illuminizer, any dry patches that you may have, it will become exacerbated. So if you feel like you didn't go heavy enough with the illuminizer during the mixing process of your foundation, it's okay, because this is where this step comes in. We've done our foundations, we've done our illuminizers, we've done our powders. Now, if you are on the drier side, it's okay for you to skip the whole like translucent powder step and go straight into just lightly setting your face. I didn't use too much of this powder. Mainly I use this powder to give myself like a finishing glow and to help knock off any excess powder. But if you're on the dry side and you're not used to setting your face with a translucent powder, that's totally fine. Just go in and lightly set your makeup with any setting powder that you usually use. Okay, so this step is gonna be what kind of seals the deal. So I'm gonna go in with the highlighter. This is the tester version, but the Chanel highlighter, I'm using Ivory Gold. You could use any of them that you want. I use Ivory Gold just because I feel like it complements my skin a little more, and we're gonna use this with our fluffy powder brush and we're going to set our entire face with it. Now, I don't mean completely setting, like I'm not gonna load up my brush and just go heavy on it. I'm going to lightly tap my brush into the product, knock off some, and then apply it everywhere. So if you guys saw earlier, I was like really digging my brush into the Le Beige powder. With this, I'm doing a light tapping. I'm not gonna load up my brush with it. I'm just here to collect a bit of product so I can deposit lightly onto my skin. So afraid, can't control this feeling. You guys see that? It gives just such a nice, luminous, healthy glow to the skin. This step seems scary, but it's not. And I especially love using the Chanel one. I am a little hesitant to use any other highlighter because most highlighters on the market are very extreme because it's meant to give you a very beaming, highlight on your cheek. The Chanel powder is just a little more natural, so I think the Chanel highlighter is a little more suited to this look in particular. Even though my nose gets greasy, like I do add a little bit onto my nose. So I'm going to add a bit onto my forehead and then remaining product on my nose. I'm not gonna add too much on my nose. So one layer is enough. One layer is enough to give you this nice, healthy glow. So for those of you who have asked, like, how do you get your skin to look so glowy or dewy? This extra step at the end, putting a highlighter all over your face. Okay, so now that my face is all even, I'm going to add dimension back into my face. I'm gonna go in with bronzer, do my brows, do my eyes, and then I'll come back and then I'll do my blush and highlighter on camera for you guys. Okay, eyeshadow, bronzer, brows, I even have my lips on. The last step is blush and highlight. I am gonna go in with Golden Sun. I have it depotted right here. Why do I even have it depotted? I don't have a good reason. But I'm just gonna load up my blush brush. And as I've said before, I don't smile when I apply my blush because I don't walk around smiling. Because when you apply when you're smiling and then you stop smiling, your blush kind of drops. So when you apply it with a resting face, you get a more accurate placement of your blush. I like using Chanel blushes because they have a slight sheen to them. I don't like completely matte blushes. Matte blushes can look a little chalky and a little too matte, and we're going for a glowy look. Any blush that you have that has a slight glow to it, it's gonna do. When your blush is too matte, it actually brings out the texture of the skin. You know, when I did my eyeshadow and eyebrows and bronzer and stuff like that, my foundation has had a chance to just kind of settle into my skin a little bit and just kind of like everything just kind of meld together. So everything is looking very seamless and the glow is still there. It's very maintained. Now I haven't added highlighter at all, but even when I smile and there's like high points of my cheek, like there's definitely glow there. Okay, last step is highlighter. I'm gonna go in with the same highlighter but in a different color. To apply all over my face, I use Ivory Gold. Now I'm gonna use Warm Gold. I have hit pan and I'm excited to continue to use it. Never have I legit finished a highlighter before. This might be the first one that I finish, and it's my favorite one. Warm Gold, even though I figured it was gonna be more for darker skin tones, on me who's lighter, it actually creates kind of like a nice filtered effect on my face. So I loaded up my highlighter brush and I'm just going to apply it on the higher points of my face. And again, this is not a very intense highlight. The point of me highlighting my face isn't so that I'm beaming from everywhere. Strategic highlighting gives the best illusion of a contoured face, just gives you more dimension, and it just gives you like the most natural, healthy glow without looking too artificial, like, hi, I'm wearing highlight right here. The point is to apply it in a very dispersed manner so that it catches the light in the right way. So as I turn, I see that there is already a glow going on here, and I'm just gonna add a little more onto there. Not too much, just a slight amount, and then right under my brow, right above my brow. Whatever's left on the brush, I'm gonna bring it down here. Load up that brush again. So I see that there is good glow going on here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and add on to that. And then right under the brow, right above the brow, and then whatever's left, bring it down on my nose a little bit, emphasize the center of the forehead, and a little bit on the chin. And so that's the completed look. I don't know, like when I used to love a matte finish because my skin was oily and I always tried to combat it. Now that I've embraced my oils and just really found a way to balance my skincare, like my makeup routine has become a lot more easy. And I don't know, like this is obviously still a pretty intense look. Like there's a lot more emphasis on eye. Like this is not everyday makeup. It's still very naturally glowy. So this technique can be used for anybody, anytime, even if you wanted like a lighter coverage, lighter makeup. If you go in with a tinted moisturizer and just use the same technique of mixing it with an illuminizer and then using the highlighter just kind of all over your face, it's still going to give you a very similar effect. And I don't know, just, I know it seems like such a scary technique, but don't be afraid of it. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this look. Give your feedback, comments down below. I'm gonna link everything down below, every product that I use. I'm gonna link my KakaoTalk down below if you guys wanna talk to me on there. Again, per usual, I'm always trying to practice my Korean, so if there's Anybody who wants to practice with me, feel free to add me on KakaoTalk, even on Duolingo, like, you know, we can be friends on there as well. My Tradesy closet is going to be down below just in case you guys want to do any shopping for my closet. A lot of my stuff is brand new and I am trying to get rid of it. So there's that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys again next time. Bye.